Welcome to this week's edition of Red and Black Sport. Once again over the weekend, Canterbury were lucky with the weather. Yeah, we had Press Cup rugby and it was played in 19 degrees. It was great. Ashburton, they got up for their first win over Burnside High School. So they were absolutely chuffed. It was a cracker game. We had 8 tries scored and full marks to the... I just want to pay a wee tribute to the Burnside Rugby Club. It was their club day. So that's why Burnside High School gave up playing at school and going to the Burnside ground. When we arrived at 10 o'clock in the morning, there was not a blade of grass without boys and girls playing rugby on. It was an outstanding sight just to have a look at how a club can really look after their juniors and do a good job. So well done to all those involved at the Burnside Club. It was a great, great day. Well, the highlights and the lowlights. The lowlights again, it just continues to go on, doesn't it? The Rams nobbled again. Lovely to have them back in the competition. We just need to get them a bit more competitive. That's all we've got to do. However, it was a formative year. They did tell us that when they came in here not so long ago. As far as the tactics are concerned, they just seem to plunge from bad to worse, don't they, really? Not a win again. Had a chance this week to do it. Didn't do it. But the highlight. I don't think I've seen a better Super 15 game in my life. I thought it was the display that was turned on down there in the hydroponic ground of the Dunedin Stadium. They just went for each other, didn't they? The Highlanders hosting the Crusaders. It had everything. Probably a draw may have been the fairest indication. However, the sin binning of the great man, I thought, was a mistake. No two ways about that. Richie McCaw had 10 in the bin, and in that time, the Highlanders ran 14 points on us. So they probably had their lucky break there. But they showed the resolve, didn't they, the Crusaders? The tackle by Dag on the end on a former Cantabrian wing three-quarter, Patrick Osborne, was one to watch. And Vinnie Munro had to make the call. It was sensational. I loved the game, full marks to everybody. I did feel sorry for those that were All Blacks and the Crusaders and the Highlanders, who then had to go to Wellington and go into an All Black camp. The last thing they'd want to do, I would have thought Sunday, was pull a pair of boots on. They'd have been absolutely knackered. And then, of course, we had that amazing spectacle up in the Cake Tin, where, once again, they can always do it, I suppose, the Hurricanes just went mad. They scored some brilliant tries against the Chiefs. Chiefs were lucky to even get on the board, I felt. So it was a great weekend from that point of view. Coming up this week too, we've got a festival of rugby for you, because tomorrow, which is Tuesday, the annual game, probably the oldest interprovincial rugby game, inter-schools rugby game in New Zealand is played. Christ College will host Christchurch Boys High School at Upper. It's a big game, big occasion, and CTV will be there. We will bring you coverage of that game on Wednesday night, at 7:30 and Thursday night at 7 o'clock. So if you can't get to the game, we will have it here for you. And then, of course, Saturday we have another round of Press Cup, and that's where we will go out to Lincoln, and Lincoln will host St Thomas's, which is quite interesting. Lovely segue working here, you know. This is how you get an old pro on the job, there's no doubt about it. My guest has flown down specially from Auckland to be with us today, and I really do appreciate it. He's a young man, really trying to strike, well, or crack the big one, I suppose. It's really tough. There's no two ways about it. He wants to be in the super saloons in Australia, and it's a tough road to get there in car racing, that's for sure. But he's a St Thomas old boy, so I suppose, Tom, that you'd like to see your side win on Saturday.
Oh, always, you know. Always be an old boy of the school, and seeing them wins always good, isn't it?
Yeah. Welcome down. Great you made the effort. Let's have a look back over there. You're 19, but you've got a big day next Monday. You turn 20.
Yep.
Does it mean anything in motor racing to be 20?
Not really, no. I can start at 12, you know, so it doesn't mean anything.
You've been in it an awful long time, and it's been a hard grind, hasn't it?
Oh, it has. You know, motorsport's not a cheap sport, you know. We don't have the money of some of the other families, but, you know, we've strived and pushed forward and got to where we are today, and hopefully can keep pushing forward, you know.
I remember having the pleasure of your company, I think a couple of years ago in here, and I think most of the sponsorship you'd got yourself, you'd gone out and chased it.
Yeah, most of them we got ourselves, and they were through people my dad knew, and of course Kenny Smith, who's a great name, and New Zealand Motorsport helped a lot as well, so, you know, it's good.
Now that then took an interesting twist, didn't it? Because you're now actually working with the legend of New Zealand motor racing, no two ways about it, Kenny Smith. He's like a good wine, he just seems to get better, doesn't he?
He does, you know, he's still racing, he's 56 years without missing a year now, so, you know, just keeps going and doesn't like him slowing down at any stage.
You couldn't really have a better mentor, could you?
Definitely not, you know. He's been around all those years, he has lots of experience, just the people.
A lot of success.
A lot of success, you know. He's still winning today, you know. And
He's 70 something, isn't
72.
he? 72.
Yeah, still racing. So.
Yeah. Now he's coming down in October, I believe, for the Lady Wigram.
Yes, he should be down for the Wigram race to try and win his 6th Lady Wigram trophy. So
Amazing man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's he like up close and personal and working with him?
he's a bit like a teenager. He hasn't really grown up. He's just a big kid at heart, really.
I'd heard talks that he's a tough man.
He can be. Yeah, you're not going to go on his bad side.
Does he throw the spanners in the workshop?
Not really. No.
Yeah. So what is your role with Kenny Smith? What do you do?
He's just sort of taken me under his wing about 3 or 4 years ago now, and he's just mentored me through. And I moved to Auckland and just help him in his workshop preparing cars, and he lets me drive.
Does he have a business?
Not a business as such, but he just owns race cars and sells and stuff like that.
Right. So are you employed by him?
I work for him and he gives me race cars to drive.
Right.
Pretty much. So
Not bad.
It's a fair deal.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Tough hours? I mean, you work long hours with it?
No, he's pretty easy to work with.
So how long's that association been?
I met him in 2010.
Right.
At the Wigram race down here in Christchurch.
When did you move to Auckland?
2012.
Right. So you've been under his tutelage really from there on in.
Yes.
You had to make the move to Auckland, did you feel?
There's just connects that he knows up there, which people I've met now, which I wouldn't if I'd been down here. And that's given me breaks and stuff, and there's some big names that I've met and stuff. So.
Let's go back to last season just briefly. You had high hopes, obviously, didn't you? What did you compete in?
We were in the Toyota Finance 86 Championship, and we went into the championship hoping we could win it. Started off good with a second place at the first round, and we showed good pace, and then another second at the second round, and then things just sort of fell away. Had some problems with the car being a bit bent in the rear, which doesn't help.
Is that the driver's fault?
It was on that case, yes. So that didn't help, and then starting to claw those points back, you do some silly things and things.
You're chasing it, aren't you?
You have to do everything to get those points back, and then bad things happen, and you get caught up in stuff.
Yeah.
And it's hard,
You're a remarkable young man. So when we come back, we're going to talk to Tom Alexander more, because it's a long season, the Toyota 86 Championship, that's for sure. But where to from there? So Tom Alexander joins me when we come back. I'm joined by a young man who went to St Thomas's College here in Canterbury, has gone to Auckland because that was probably an opportunity he had to take. He wants to be the best he can. He's in the Toyota 86 series. For those that don't know, it runs from November through to May, so it's a very long grind. One of the highlights from last year, you had a crack at the Cromwell track.
Yeah, we did. Our first round was held down.
Now, that's a brand new
circuit.
Yeah.
We were down at the first meeting that was held down there in November last year. It's a great facility, obviously.
Is it? Just paint the picture for us. What's it like?
Tony spent mega dollars.
Tony
Quinn,
right.
He owns the track. He spent mega dollars.
Was it a farmland or?
Yeah, it was sort of been a project for a few years, but no one really had the money. And he's big food business over in pet food business over in Australia, and it's a great facility.
Right. How big's the track?
It's 4.4 kilometres long,
right,
which is the longest track in New Zealand.
Right.
It's just done.
Oval?
No, circuit race.
Circuit race, yep. Yeah, good.
It's actually a unique track because it's got a crossover, where it's got a bridge.
Yeah.
How
good's that?
Yeah, it's good, so
and
it's definitely unique.
Spectator facilities?
It's pretty good. You lose them a bit behind trees and out the back of the track, but there's a bank around the front where we can watch. So yeah.
So is he continually modifying that?
He built it to have a place for his museum, to have cars and a thing for a business as well. It runs pretty much every day of the year.
Oh, really?
With hot lap rides and stuff like that,
So if you were going down to Cromwell, you could actually go to the track most days?
Yeah. You can drive cars around, get hot laps around and stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
How'd you go?
Good. The start of the season was good. We topped the first test session and second in qualifying, which was good. And then, the racing was good. We had Angus Fogg, who's been around for years, long time. He was racing, so I finished second to him in the first race, and then it was a reverse good race, so I had to come from the back to...
What were you driving then?
Toyota 86.
86,
Yeah, he did the first 2 rounds in our championship.
Right, okay. So, then, like every season, you have a debrief, I suppose, at the end of May or round about May time. Where to for Tom Alexander? What do you, I know you got a crystal ball, but what's a realistic ball? My long-term goal is to get the VAT Supercars in Australia. Right.
And to do that...
How tough is it to break into that?
It's easier than Europe, but it's still not easy, you know. It's ultra competitive series, and...
Have they opened that up to other makes now?
Yes, they've got Volvo in there now, and Nissan and Mercedes.
Right, yeah.
And obviously the Holden and Fords are still there.
Just touching on Mercedes, the result overnight, of course, of the Monaco. I've walked the track at Monaco, I can tell you. Never driven it, but I've walked it. Beautiful scenery, but the pace they're going, they don't really see it much, do they?
No.
Mercedes did well.
They've been doing well all season, you know. They've got a car that's super quick. You know, Rosberg and Hamilton, great drivers.
Hamilton seems to have grown another league again, doesn't he? He seems to be just keener.
Yeah, he's very hungry this year to win that title, and it's shown in the racing, like at Bahrain when he was on the slower tyre, and he managed to hold off Rosberg, you know.
Right, yeah. And the thing is that he's got a good car underneath him. Well, they both have, haven't they?
Like he's had good cars, like when he obviously won the championship,
Yep.
and then his cars sort of, he just didn't have a car that was capable of what this year's car is, you know.
Right. So take us over to the Super Saloon Series. Are there various grades?
Yes.
I mean, you're not going to crack it into the top stuff and racing with the big boys straight up, are you?
No. There is the Development Series, which is pretty much the same car, just with a little bit extra weight to slow them down a bit.
Same track.
They'd follow, I think, 6 rounds of the main game championship.
Right.
So you're in front of all the big teams, so they can see all your progress and stuff.
Right. And you would be in Toyota for that?
No, that's just Holden Ford at the moment.
Okay, so you've got to find someone that'll let you drive. I suppose that's.
There's cars for lease. You just got to get the sponsorship and the money to run the car and stuff, you know, and pay the lease fees and stuff.
Now that's an interesting series. It doesn't actually conflict with your New Zealand racing, does it?
No, it runs and out in the New Zealand Australian winter.
Yes.
So yeah, our stuff's all summertime in New Zealand.
So heading towards this coming summer, what's your plans? What are you doing right now to lead into that?
Right now, well, our season is done, so it's off season for us. So we got me and Kenny have cars to get ready for the Wigan race down in Christchurch.
Right.
And then it's just about finding sponsorship for next season.
So you're not guaranteed for next year yet?
No,
next season?
No, we got to sort of work on what cars we race, what the sponsors that we get and stuff.
So are you doing the league work, or how does that work?
Yeah, sort of. Kenny helps me a lot because just all the contacts that he has, it's just amazing.
How are you received when you go and see a sponsor? I mean, do they?
Oh, they love Kenny. And
so if he endorses you,
it helps a lot.
A lot. Yeah. Okay. Is there still money around? Are people still keen to invest?
It's harder these days, but yes, the people, if you find the right person, they will invest. Yeah.
Right. There's still those people there, which is great. How competitive is it as a soon-to-be 20-year-old? Are there a lot of young ones coming through?
Yeah, always. There's always guys coming up from the younger grades and stuff. So you just got to prove that you're better, and make them believe that you can achieve,
Yeah, but that's only going to happen with results.
It is, exactly, yeah.
I mean, you have a bad race, Doesn't help, does it?
No, exactly.
Well, the car craps out. Yeah, it's not easy. You're telling me before about single-seaters. What are you looking at there?
There's the Toyota TRS Racing Series, which happens over 5 weeks in January and February.
Does that dovetail into the other series?
We raced in that same meeting. It's run by Toyota New Zealand. Both of them are.
Right.
So we raced at their meetings and stuff, and that's a big international series where they get 15, 16 international drivers from all around the world. Yeah,
and there's been some names come out, haven't there?
Well, there's Daniel Kvyat, who's now in
the Russian
who now races for Toro Rosso in Formula One. He was a TRS driver. He's 19.
And he's racing Formula One.
Yeah.
Well, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, mate. Yeah. He's obviously very skilled.
Yeah, he is. And has the help and the money that can get him there. You know, Red Bull's been with him since he started. You know, so.
And he's had the experience of single seater where you were going to go into it pretty much cold.
I did Formula Fords,
Yes.
which was a single seater, which is a stepping
But this is a
stone.
high level, isn't it?
It is, you know.
Tougher.
It's wings and slicks,
Yeah.
more horsepower. But you know, I've had 2 tests in it now, and we show good pace. So
Good, good. Who looks at you? I mean, who's the one that they give you the car? So right, we want to have a look at you. Who looks at you?
Well, it's just sort of in New Zealand. You had to find sponsors really and take them to a team,
Right.
and then they'll run you, you know, sort of thing.
How many's in your team?
At the moment, it's just me and Kenny really.
It's a tough ask, boy, isn't it?
It's just because Kenny, he doesn't have a lot of money, but
Right.
he's got enough, and so he just helps me where he can and stuff. So
Yeah. It's a bit of number 8 wire stuff at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. Fascinating. When we come back, though, we'll probably have to go out to the golf course because, look, Gordy, you've got to get better, mate. We'll just be watching what happens. We'll be back in a moment for the last time with Tom Alexander. Welcome back. Well, we've got a young man who's flown down specially. He's a Christchurch boy. He's come down, Tom Alexander, wanted to crack into the big time. And I was just thinking in that commercial break there, if there's anybody out there that would like to give this young man a leg up, I tell you what, he's a quality product, and I know he would serve you well. Stadium Cars have been with you for a while from here, haven't they?
yeah, that was the first year with them this year, and they've been a big help. You know,
Yeah.
they're helping lots of guys.
So we challenge everyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, get on board. All right. Speaking of challenging, well, we sent our man out, of course, Gordy, and he thought golf was easy. Well, he's made a bit of progress, got to tell you, in the last few weeks. Let's see what he comes up with today.
All right, I'm back out here at Ferrymead Golf, and this week we're looking at, I would call it teeing off from the fairway.
Yep, you're half correct. Mostly this club is what you're going to use for your longest distance shot off the fairway.
Right.
So, you know, your long par 5s or long par 4s, or if you've had a really dud drive and you need some distance. These fairway woods are great for distance. The problem we get, and I get a lot of people asking me, is how do I hit them off the ground to get the height, especially in the winter months when the ground's nice and soft and that sort of thing. So most people, what they do wrong with a fairway wood, I'll show you, Gordon, is they set themselves up like they're trying to hit their 7-iron with the ball in the middle, and they're going to hit down on the shot. But when there's a club without enough loft, hitting down on it's always just going to make it trickle along the ground or a variety of other bad issues. So what we're doing is we're going to set up with the ball just inside your left heel, like you would if you're actually hitting your driver.
Yep.
What this will mean is when you're doing your moment of impact, the club's actually going to catch the ball slightly on the way up and just get a little bit of loft. You're going to get more of the true loft out of the club and hopefully get it a bit higher going down there. So let's give that a go.
Is there anything different from this that I need to remember from driving? Or is it quite a similar technique?
The technique of the swings is pretty much the same other than the fact the ball's not on a tee.
Okay.
So you're probably focusing a little more on keeping your head down and swinging under the ball.
All right, so I want to be just inside
Just
that,
inside
that
there.
front foot.
Brilliant, yep. Look at that.
Not bad.
Twice as high.
Pretty straight.
What a great shot.
That's how you can improve your fairway hitting, especially if you want to go for some distance. And like Jordan said, make sure you get it coming up rather than going down, especially with that wet winter weather. All right, Andy, today you've got a deal for us in the shop.
We do, Gordon, yes. So we've come to the end of the summer, unfortunately. We do have a range of shirts left over that haven't quite gone yet. We've got the 2 brands, the Stewart shirt from the UK. Okay, got that in a range of sizes, range of colours that you can see here. And we've also got the Sligo shirts. Okay, slightly smaller fit than the Stuberts.
Yep.
Okay, so a little bit more of an athletic look, sport look to most of those. Any of these shirts in any of the sizes, any of the colours, we're doing either $40 each or 3 for $100.
3 for $100.
That's
You
right.
can't beat that deal.
No.
Well, I've been harsh on the lad, I've got to tell you, but he seemed to strike that one pretty well. I did laugh at his reference there to if the winter weather comes in. I think you're going to be playing that fairway wood a fair bit over this winter if the last couple of months have been anything to go by. And it's very hard to get the distance off the wet, soaked ground. Anyway, Rain, of course, is a bit of a problem in my guest's place as well, of course, with motorsport, but wet tracks, dry tracks. Do you have a tyre regulation? I mean, do you have to decide to start with which tyres you're going to start on?
Generally, if it's really wet, they'll declare it a wet meeting.
Right.
So you have to run a wet tyre.
Right.
If they
Then it dries out halfway through,
Then they'll undeclare it, So
but you can't change your tyres.
if it looks like it will dry, they won't declare it.
Right.
So it's your choice what tyre you run,
Tell me about the fuel, because I must admit I've chuckled a couple of times that I can't believe you can run out with a lap to go. Is it that fine a balance?
In our classes, no, because our races are quite short.
Yes.
But you get into Formula One and IndyCar and stuff like that, yes, it is, Like, they'll be down to like half a lap short, a quarter of a lap short,
Wouldn't that rip your helmet?
It does. Like, there's been many time where on an oval circuit IndyCars, coming to the line, they ran out of fuel and they've been passed by like 10 cars.
That would really get
Yeah.
me. I'm sorry. You
Like
take all that risk.
it's cost Scott Dixon a title about
Yes.
a few years ago now.
Seems silly, but it's so finely judged. Is that a weight factor or a regulation factor or what?
It's just no fuel in the tank.
Yeah, but why do they can't put any more in?
Yeah, they probably stop a lap early.
Yeah.
So it fills the tank up.
Right.
But you're at one lap.
The other end,
Exactly.
you're
So
caught napping.
you got to try and save fuel,
Yeah.
which Scott's obviously very good at. But yeah, you come up if the safety car falls in the wrong spot,
Yep.
where everyone pits, and
Yep.
so stuff like that.
Tell me, who, apart from Kenny Smith, who must have a huge influence in your life, who's someone you'd like to aspire to? Who in the sport is someone you think, gosh, that man's got everything?
Scott Dixon's helped us out for the last 3 or 4 years, and
Financially or?
financially, yes,
Good
he's been
stuff.
great because Kenny helped him to get to America.
Yes, I know that story.
And he's a great guy, and he's obviously done very, very well for himself over in America. He's 3-time champion, Indy 500 champion stuff. He's just sort of New Zealand's peak. That's where you want to be.
I know this is going to be a hard question for you because you don't like blowing your own trumpet. As a young man, in the crop that are coming through, where do you put yourself? Where do you think you really do lie?
I'd like to think I was towards the top.
Yeah.
I believe I have the potential to make it. It's just I need some results and obviously money to get into cars to get those results.
Have there been people get ahead of you that you think, crikey, I was as good as they were?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
There's guys.
But there's luck in the game, isn't there?
There's luck and obviously money. Money makes it all in this game, So.
Yeah. Do you have another life or not?
Not really at this stage.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just sort of all motorsport because
Right.
it's what I want to do for my career,
Yeah.
So
How long do you give it? Realistically.
realistically, if
When do you have to get a proper job?
hopefully never, but I'll give it a few years and see what happens. If you can't sort of get any more progress, then I'll probably pull the pin. But
Tom, I think you're a remarkable young man. You've chased the dream, you've worked damned hard. You've had to create your own dream, really, with sponsors and everything like that, haven't you? So
yeah, I've had Kenny, who's been a big help, and I wouldn't be anywhere without him. So.
great to have him in here, isn't it? There's the helmet, and it's got T. Alexander on the side. So, makes him big in my book, I tell you that. Don't forget, we've got the game at Upper tomorrow, and that'll be played on Wednesday night and Thursday night. That's the big inter-school game, so make sure you catch that. All right, that's it for this week. Coming up to Queen's birthday weekend and Tom Alexander's birthday. So it's a hooroo from me and Tom.